Right, friends, I've eaten a little bit. And got the episode right here on the screen. We're gonna look through it a little bit advanced speed, as we do. I'm gonna highlight some art, talk about a little bit something on ReZero. I do love how we're, I said that in the discussion originally, I do love how we're kind of almost as if the world is on his entire shoulders. How the sky is oppressive in a way and he's leaning down. Seeing his face here, the way he's slumped over. Talked about this, the artistry is really nice, right? How we show the entire city landscape. To be fair, the city design is amazing. The city design is really cool. It's one of the highlights of the entire arc that there's this city which is like on different elevation levels, is like the sloping down basically into the middle. And we do have the control towers. We have to take note that these control towers are actually here to control the waterway. So if Ceres is in one of those towers, first of all, why is there not more guards that actually take care of those towers? Maybe that is a wrong assumption by me. Maybe this is not one of those towers, but I feel like it's one of those towers, right? Especially with like the crystals that are up there. The way the tower peaks up, right, and is like in the middle, like slightly to the left side of the frame. You do have that nine square grid that artists oftentimes use, or photographers, where it's like you don't want your main subject or your main object of the shot to be right in the middle. You want it to be at the borders of the middle square. It can be in other squares as well, right, to make it interesting in terms of like what you want to do with the composition. This could also be very well applied. I think you could even apply the golden ratio to that, right? Like with the and how busy a scene is, and the busiest place of the scene is the tower, and everything around it gets progressively less busy. That is a really cool shot. And he's flashing back to the Gospels and everything, to Betelgeuse. I do love this, right? Great shot. He's going past Emilia right here. Boom, and she's following him with her head, right? She's out of focus, he's in focus. Great way to just kind of stay with him basically in the scene while still showing who is he running past, who is like the second part of the scene. And then the hand goes out and it's like, wait a minute, right? Take care. Don't do anything reckless. And he's like, just wait here, trust me, I'll protect you myself. And we do have that little flushed face and whatever. Yeah. And there's less anxiety, right? There's more trust, there's less, no, let me do that, or I want to know, right? There's this immediate, I trust you to do your thing and it's gonna be all right, and I'll ask you later. I want to know what is happening, but if you don't want to involve me, go do your best. And we go with Beako. I love this shot with the hand in hand in front of the entire city with the plaza in the middle. That is the OP, sorry. I just, all right, okay, we start with this OP analysis. A little bit of a framework before we go too deep into it. We start the episode, obviously we have OP, ED. I'm analyzing OP, then I'm analyzing ED, and then we're going into the parts of the episode. That would be the best way to go, I feel. Obviously, I don't think we can listen to the OP without it being flagged, but it might be flagged and accepted. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna watch the OP and the ED right now. And maybe we're even gonna do that in a separate video, and you can check that out individually. Right. I think we're gonna do it like that. Yeah. I just have to cut out a little bit something. That's not a big deal. All right, and we are back from the OP and the ED. Go check it out if I have it already up and it's ready. I don't know if it's ready, but if it is, maybe it's gonna be linked right there. But we are going to get into the episode for a second or two, look at the imagery and all of that stuff, the stuff that we started already before I decided to go into the intro and whatnot. Again, most of this is art analysis, so this is not going to be like anything more special than what we already had. It's insane. The moment he did that, I was like, yes, like, holy shit, look at that. Like, what we're looking at Sirius from the bottom up, like she's imposing, she's dominating the frame, she's dangerous. The funny thing is she almost looks like she has a very normal haircut in this, aside from like that one peeking underneath the bandage. But aside from that, she looks like she has a very simple haircut, a normal haircut. But then we look at her full frame and we do see like that her entire head is bandaged up, aside from a couple of strokes of hair coming out there. What I love is like, we are so dynamic with our shots, right? That is that is like some interesting action going on, him trying to hold it, and then we have a very quick boom, right? With momentum, with like speed. And he's going down here, trying to hold it. And you see even the chain pulling and whatnot. That is attention to detail. The quick red flash and it cutting into him. Horrible, horrifying, with all of the fingers falling because he tried to stop it. No fucking chance. And he's flailing about. What the fuck horrible kind of shit is that? Like, only ReZero, dude. Only fucking ReZero. I still remember the rabbit scene. No. Fucking hell. That was disgusting. But yeah, we have like the chains going down and her just standing there with like feet apart and whatnot and just looking down there. A lot of this imagery, right, is supposed to disgust us, right? It's supposed to revolt us in as much as possible. Her holding him, clutching him tightly, and then we distort the lens. We have like a very fisheye thing with like again, I feel like in ReZero we often use violet or like pinkish violet to symbolize corruption, to symbolize derealization, to symbolize us losing grip on reality, to symbolize being overwhelmed, right? Being oversaturated, all of these things, right? And then now we're using the focus, out of focus, in focus, right? To symbolize what Subaru is experiencing here, because he's losing consciousness and slowly going out and in of focus as we move on. And we go into the black, and we don't zoom back through like the weird Return by Death lens. This time it's just like, boom. He's got a headache, I would too. I do love this framing because it's like very unusual. You do see like the house front, and then you see like the entire field of grass, and they're basically boxed in by it. And we're talking to one another. We have like, he's rushing. We only have 15 minutes, it's true, right? Very cool. Him in the middle thinking, and then the other characters which have their own interactions being there, right? Talking back and forth out of focus. And we're zooming out a little bit. Also, I did notice that little wink that Priscilla gave Liliana. Very, very cute, because it keeps like building character almost off screen, basically, right? So you do notice that. Even if you don't realize it, you don't notice it consciously, your subconscious gets that feeling, even if the visual stimulus is not taken in, right? This is one of the reasons, like when we test implicit bias in psychology and stuff like that, you do quickly flash pictures of certain things that you want to trigger a bias with, or that you want to like connect to certain things and test if they're actually being connected, right? If you flash certain pictures that are supposed to, that you have kind of an idea are maybe associated negatively, and then you show something afterwards and want like a certain judgment call from the person, and then you see if there's actually a bias effect, right? With like the priming that you've done with those flashes of the pictures. And they have been flashed long enough for parts of your brain, right, to process them, but not all of your brain, before new information was coming in, and then you're like, oh, this information is more important. So you throw it away, but there's like that partial processing still happened, and it's still an effect this has on your brain. So we do establish in these little scenes that are happening at the fringes, at the peripherals, at the background, we do establish character interactions, character dynamics, character emotions, beyond just showing them head on screen. That is a lot like show, don't tell, right? We don't need to focus the entire scene on it. We can let it run in the background, and some people will notice, some won't, but in the sum of the parts of this happening over and over again, we will get the general gist. Do love this like kind of diagonal way we shoot the plaza. It's a very interesting way. Don't like this shot. He's clutching, yeah, right? And that is a thing you do a lot, right? Like tense muscles, whatever. He's really, especially like he's clutching close to his heart, which makes sense too, right? You have the feeling like everything is cramping up, and it's like you are anxious as fuck. Obviously, you're clutching close to your heart. Again, we're showing the city in all kinds of different angles, which I love, and it's not just a straight up angle. We're not showing it straight up. We're showing it slightly tilted, right? Because we are in a situation where we are anxious, so Dutch angles make perfect sense. The city is so beautiful. We're panning past that and we're doing the quick flash. Right? Subaru looking up towards us, basically, not paying attention to Regulus, and then we have the quick zoom in, which is also cool. Zoom in while while having like a blend over frame of her being close up. And in like when it's fast, it looks like we're zooming in just, right? It looks like we're just zooming in. Ah, yeah. I do love that frame of her. Looks really cool. And suddenly, immediately. The way she articulates herself, the way she moves, right? So expressive, so incredibly expressive, and it fits perfectly to her speech as well. And him trying to resist of that little movement where it's like you see that a character is fighting against something. Oh, an opening in the eye, yeah, that was one of the best shots, right? You do have that. Later on we have an eye scene too, and I want to highlight that. I highlighted that in the original discussion as well. And we're zooming out, right? She's taking the frame, right? We're seeing from her intent, from her eye, and we're zooming out and she's like, let me establish my presence. And this is how Reinhardt comes in. We see him running. I think the water CGI, right? And we have Reinhardt just running with a simple like water splash layer on top of that. But that's cool, that's enough. And he's jumping up, and I do love this frame when he jumps, right? When he jumps in, right? He's a little bit less detailed, but as he comes towards us, he's more detailed, and we're just seeing the sky, and he's just with his entire frame, he's coming in. And until here, he is actually in focus, and now he's out of focus, and a little bit more like his entire figure is a little bit less vibrant. And the eyes, and the hair, and he's coming in, landing here. Her perched up, love that again. This view as well, right? Both of them. I might have to switch the memory card soon, so there's that. I can see so much sky being let open whenever Reinhardt is in frame, right? It's the hero framing. And he's going in. Animation, let's go. Into the eye, again, we use this trick a lot, but we're going past, right? You see the eye head on, and then you see the eye kind of at the peripherals of your vision, and then he's going past, and we see in which direction he's going, right? The movement stays the same, the momentum stays the same. And she's like being interrupted here. And you almost don't see it, but his kick goes out, and she has the cross guard, basically. And he's like that red line, apparently, that, again, apparently it's standing for Reinhardt. Right? Smushy frames as a part, like an after image of his foot still stays, and she's being catapulted out, and he's making a little twirl, and he's just going on. And we see it from far away. It's not like peak animation, but we do see like a very good effort to show like the momentum and the mobility that's happening there. I don't know how they're flying, but whatever, right? It's Reinhardt and it's an archbishop, so they're flying apparently. Again, love the expressiveness and how we're going out. Right, as she attacks, she's throwing an attack out, and we follow the line of that attack as it goes in. And he's just like parting the way with the thing, right? He's parting it. He doesn't even need to do a lot, just so much, right? With the fist going past us, right, and this making a very, very beautiful, almost symmetrical movement of the chains that are going around him, supposed to get him from behind. And he's turning around, doing a spinning kick, breaking the chains with the after image like effect. You're too wonderful. And suddenly, oops, he's behind her, right? Too fast. And he's always courteous, right? Your skills are impressive as well. And he turns around, right? That almost a shaft head tilt. And that we use that, actually that's so cool. We use that hit, a lot of shows do that. Use that hit actually to block the frame, and then we go into another frame, right? A completely different scene, and Subaru basically, we're lying there out of focus, and we go in focus. Again, cool focus pull, and her just, that is such a cool animation, right? Just wiggling around like a corpse being reanimated, and she's standing up the same way, right? We had a similar frame where Emilia was kind of defending. I don't know. Did I jump So, oh no, Emilia is the second one, right? We had a similar frame when Emilia was defending where she's coming down and she looks like an animal, right? And almost not like an animal, almost like some undead creature, right? An animal wouldn't be like that. They're absolutely hypnotized here. And she's also, she's like hunched over, kind of like a creature that's just like these unnatural movements, right? The creepy ones. And Subaru's making the connection. I do love this frame. Right, he's going into it and holy shit. Look at that madness frame, right? The way we distort his features in a very, very weird and creepy way. Blood splatter, baller frame as well. But yeah, I think I need to change my memory card. We'll pick it up here again. See you in a second. Hello and welcome back. All right, let's continue. Yeah, cool frame, absolutely cool frame. Her taking half the shot but being diagonally, right? And falling down. We do see that, the blood splattering and her smiling crazy. Because he knows what's gonna happen, right? And also because he's kind of a fanatic. And Reinhard looks up and he's like, holy shit, what did I do? And this is why we can't have Reinhard in here. Oh, the angle, right? The tilted, right? Exactly diagonally, he fits into the angle, right? The glint in his eye, the shadow on the one side, the light on the other. And Subaru's, like the design of Subaru's death scene here, the way he's lying on the ground, looking, staring in Reinhardt's direction, all of the blood and his limb lying there in hand with Luspel. Holy fuck, that is a scene. And we're bloody. We're getting creative with those, like, right, the next thing. First time was like the winding back, the second time was like a black, and then it was done, right? Like black screen, one sentence, and then we're back, and now it's like being washed over. Really great, really great. In your face, right? In your face, I do like that. And then Subaru's falling, right? He's getting tapped because he's like holding on to it too much. Or was that the other one? No, I think that was the other scene. It's like, that's the third time. Her tilting her head right here, right? Well, like the way we're doing conversation, really cool. A lot of these are normal ass frames, right? I'm not gonna highlight them, but it's really cool. It's really cool. Focus pull again, right? And we do have to focus on Priscilla because she's the one who says it, right? She's the one who, like, the way we're looking into these alleys, not just head on or just from above, but like really cool. Clutching his fist on his heart again. This is why I need your strength and wisdom. And it's true. To this world, Reinhard is the very definition of different, right? Because he seeps away all the mana because all of the world favors him, basically, even to the degree that it is to the disadvantage of even his allies. Which is insane if you think about it. And yes, that is actually a weakness of Reinhard for once. A weakness of Reinhard because if he alone can't resolve a situation, then it's difficult to involve him into a situation because he's gonna put like passive debuffs on all the other people who could help him resolve the situation. I also love how we're zooming, like we're panning away from Betty as she's explaining about Reinhard and the world, and we're looking into the sky, kind of, right? It's like, right, almost like Reinhard is this pillar of that tower over there, piercing the sky, and everybody else, like the buildings surrounding him, are compatriots or whatever. And the entire sky, the clouds and whatnot, they're seeping into the pillar, basically. They're like surrounding him. But also, we're panning away to show she's talking about not us, but she's talking about something else, right? The principle of the world, Reinhard, whatever, right? And then we're going the round shot, basically, and we're pretending we went all the way around, and we're going back to Subaru and zooming into him. How does that relate to us? And then he's like, all right, how do we resolve this? Shamak time. I'm with you, Subaru. Great frame, and I'm with you, Subaru. Shamak. Holy shit, it helps him so many times. That's the thing, right? Even if it's nothing special, for him, it's something special. Also, it's the only spell he was ever capable of, so it fixes any problem, yeah, of course. We talked about this focus pull, right? And about this one as well, Emilia. Right. Her taking in the frame, right? lowering her head, being like, I know you told me to stay away, but up again, right? Resolve, standing her ground. And then we do have them panning back and forth between the characters. That is classic design of like just somebody who pays attention and wants to put quality into their production. You don't just have a shot of a character with like just moving their lips and the shot doesn't change. No, you have two characters, two layers, right? One in focus, one not. One we're looking over the shoulder of, the other we're looking at, right? And the characters, the camera is slowly moving to a specific direction or in a, like, right? It's moving, the camera is moving, it's dynamic. We see more of the environment. Even if it's just still in a confined frame, we do see more of the environment. We see more parts of the people we're talking to and we're talking from, right? That is production quality. I love that stance she has. Right? Into the frame, right? Moving into the frame, establishing presence, kind of. You have that divide between like a little bit more beige, which is like a very soft color, and the yellow behind her, which is a strong color, right? It's brighter, it's like more vivid. But yeah, we're going in, we're starting with that imposing shot on the tower. And starting with the Aluma. I always loved how they did like the ice magic and whatnot. That's always a cool thing. But yeah, we're starting with Sirius, I guess. Again, cool detail, her stepping in front of him once again. Because she's the melee fighter at this point. And she's like, this is very interesting. I didn't pick up on that first, but it's like, this is heresy. It's spiritual interference closer to a curse or hex than a spell. I don't know what spiritual interference specifically means, but for me it's like, but it almost has something to do with being the anti, right? The anti of a spirit arts user, which is very curious if we consider that Emilia is a spirit arts user and Berko is a spirit, right? Curse or hex. Something unnatural in a way, right? Maybe something witchy. We start with the eye and it's bloodshot already, right? And it's getting smaller, focusing in on Emilia. Standing there, taking in the entire black part of the frame, like that got blown away. And that's what I mean, right? She's landing like some kind of beast of necromancy or whatever, right? Like her front feet are like her feet are actually almost in the front, basically. It's so weird, right? And she's looking up. Yeah, creating that like smoldering flame that starts as like some kind of energy and then it's burning uncontrollably, which fits perfectly to her nature as Wrath, right? And now we have the Wrath. The Wrath is coming out when she sees Emilia, and I'm like, why, right? What is it? And she's saying it, right? Infuriating. She's calling her half-elf. She's saying she's taking away the attention, right, of my husband. Betelgeuse, probably, right? Betelgeuse, we would assume so. Scum, she calls him. Very interesting that somebody who's part of the witch cult is not in favor of the witch, right? Supposedly the witch or the vessel of the witch or whatever. I mean, there's various distinctions to that. It could be that parts of the witch cult are not following the witch, but just following their own dogma. They all have a gospel. Maybe they just follow the book, right? And that will lead them to their desires. They're not worshipping the witch in that specific case. Or it could be that they see Emilia as a fake and the witch as the real thing. That could also be a thing, I think, right? Maybe there's another witch that we don't have right in our head, but she's not mentioning the witch, so it's very interesting. But she's mentioning love a lot. I do wonder if she wants love from Betelgeuse, or if this is just right love in general as like a revering obsession. Husband's grave, and we have that vibrating right here, like where the frame is going back and forth between that and that a little bit more held back, right? The smoldering, I love the smoldering flames effects and how the eye is kind of like vibrating in a way. And her gritted teeth, right? Those, right? They really spell anger, wrath. That is how you would expect wrath to be. Close-ups of like them clashing with one another. They're just uncontrollably flailing like the flames themselves. Interesting also how we have that contrast, as the title says, fire and ice against one another. And the interesting thing also is that Emilia very well represents Ice in remaining very calm in all of this, right? Steadfast, solid, right? While she is fire in a way, she is hot, she is tempered, she's burning, right? She's uncontrollable, right? Even by herself. Love that. Okay, we go back and look at that, because that is very important in terms of like what we do with animation. The crystal forms and it turns, she's getting it, right? The hilt, and as the hilt manifests itself and she's wrapping her hands around it, the blade is actually establishing, and it's kind of almost cutting off her the frame here, right? And she's taking it and it's glittering. We do have those little lines, and she's going in, right? We do have the round circle to symbolize like the point of you pushing yourself off a point. And that shot goes hard. That shot goes so fucking hard. Like, never before this I really was thinking that Emilia could come across as a badass. Right? Yes, steadfast. Yes, admirable, respected. Very, very much too good for this world. Very much powerful as well. But a badass, that is the first time that she comes across as a badass. Fighting melee fights, right? Swooping in, strike. We do have our exchange of blows. Her coming up, that is a really good sword technique, right? And she's using it almost like a greatsword, double-sided, right? 2 hands. And she's doing it well, right? Who did she train with? Who did she train with? It's so cool. And her hair is kind of swaying. She has it together all the way down to as a knot. She's flipping a lot, which is like, right, signature movements of somebody who's more on the agile side, but also just building up momentum with the weapon you have. Very cool. How the fire takes over the entire screen. And then we come back with like the ice breaking, basically. But she's moving back in, and we have that beautiful clash of fire and ice, and we look at the sky through that. And she's smiling. But that is fear coming in. Because unexpected. She's coming with the double blades, right? More like a rogue or something. She's adaptable, right? She didn't just learn one thing. Again, such a fire shot. Holy shit, you're really giving Emilia the class A treatment in this. Looks very beautiful there. And she is almost in trouble, right? She's being pushed back. Interesting how we like... I don't know what I have to think about that, focusing on the rump here, but anyway. But also interesting, right? How she's being really pushed back, and we feel like we're moving in that direction, right? Continuously, especially with Emilia's, right, lean forwardness and her being leaned back. Sierra's being leaned back. I love how the hair is flowing as well. They're doing a very good job at that. And how we're shaking the camera as the impacts are coming in. Interesting. I don't know if I like that, but it works. And we're zooming out as we're building the weapon, which it's so cool how she's building the weapon, right? She's doing her almost like she's forming it herself, right? Out of like her will. That is so cool. That is such a cool power for Emilia, really. That she's like so capable now that she can do that. And she's like fighting very well with the spear very well, but she's even using it to flip herself. Look at that shit. Yeah, shit, like that took a lot of training probably, right? Acrobatic, right? Putting the spear and then doing a flip. She's like, what the fuck did this woman train? And she's coming in, right? And this has weight to it, right? Every blow back and forth has weight to it. We're zooming out and Subaru's like, holy shit. It's actually working. She's pushing her back, and then we have our own problems to focus on. But even then, we still see that a little bit, the Emilia fight happening. Right, don't bite your tongue. I don't know if that, like, thing really works with the whips, right? Indiana Jones did that before. I'm like, does that really work? I mean, I guess there are whips which has these little hooks in it, But is that one of those whips? It doesn't look like it. Maybe it is. I don't know. Oh, we get more of the action. No, I'm so happy that we get more of the action. Oh, that is a cool shot. We're seeing the entire throat basically, and she's screaming from the top of her lungs, pushing her back with the, like, I'm reminded of, it's not on par with that animation, but I'm reminded of the Frieren fight at the end of Frieren, like of the Frieren season. You know, which if you've seen it, you know. If you know, you know. The swarves of fire pushing back her hair. Shining silver hair to seduce men. She's like just absolutely going off on her. How repulsive. And I think this is when we see one of those shots, right? Like the shot this one, right? As we have Emilia still zoomed in as she opens the eyes, and she's looking like normal like Emilia, but as we kind of defocus what she's seeing in her eyes, everything becomes blurry, and as everything becomes blurry and Emilia's hair is waving up, she kind of almost looks like a witch, right? Like with the swarves of hair going up. My eyes, my voice, and my silver hair. And we go to Subaru, and it's like, all things the person I love praised. That is a translational error, by the way. It's not one-to-one that. It has the same meaning, but it encompasses more. Because I think the exact, or the more accurate translation would be, they are all things that the people I love praised, right? And in that, obviously, since we point that shot at Subaru in this second, Subaru is included in that, which is huge, right? I don't know we've ever heard her say she loves Subaru. But also Fortuna, right? Because Fortuna was also there, and she was like, I love your eyes, I love your hair, you have my brother's, I think my brother's eyes or whatever. No, my brother's hair, and your mother's eyes, basically. Whoever her mother is, we still don't know. There's a couple of theories, right? Shout out to Autosave, you have a very interesting theory that a lot of people share. So, if you know, you know. That makes me the same as the most amazing woman in the world, which is Fortuna in this case, right? I think the translation here is also a little bit faulty. It could be phrased differently. I think it is phrased differently in the light novel. It's more clearly understood that it is Fortuna. She means Fortuna, the most beautiful woman, right? Because she has her hair, she has her eye color, not her eyes specifically, because they have like some little bit scary eyes. Although I feel like Emilia started with the round eyes, and now they are a little bit more sharp, probably like as a result of her natural development as she was getting along, right? She's getting older, and as such, we develop more sharp features oftentimes. Not always, right? Not in every aspect, whatever. And sharp doesn't mean mature, but like it can happen. Children look a lot more like rounded in their eyes and in their facial structure and all of that. And she is looking absolutely abhorrent here with like the fire around her, almost like a ghoul or something. It's just like, look at this shot. It's almost like tentacles in this very moment, right? Like an octopus or something. Insane. I don't know if I like that, right? That weird distortion effect. It's all right. I mean, I don't hate it. And she opens her eyes to that. That's cool. And we zoom out and her going in with the sword. I love that. I love that sword strike. That is the Julius sword strike. I wonder if I don't know if she practiced with Julius. Probably more Wilhelm, but anyway. And we zoom into the light and we only see a part of her face with the one eye. Really cool shot. And then we go into the fire and dispel the fire with it, right? But suddenly we get, the reveal is as we are in the air and we're already having momentum, so she has to actively actually change that momentum. We're having the fearful girl here. And Emilia is like, what the fuck, holy shit. Like that little ridge on the nose, that's like shock. And she hesitates, and that is the moment when Sirius can just boom, go in. She's on the ground. And we go on. There's not that many interesting frames on this one, just that Regulus is seemingly unfazed. Zoom in on, right, her. That is also artistic, right? All of the flames smoldering around and kind of reflecting the light onto her. And that's how we end it. A showdown of fire and ice. On that absolutely abhorrent reveal drop. But yeah, ReZero Season 3, Episode 2. Loving the animation so far. So that was one concern that I'm not concerned about right now. Loving the music, loving the OST, loving some of the directional choices. A lot less of the weird, goofy, out there, low poly frames. Loving that as well, right? But even Episode 1, it didn't bother me that much. I was more like, okay, right, budget. This turns out like this is panning out to be a really good season. If you did like this analysis, if you haven't checked out my OP and ED reaction / lyric analysis yet, hopefully it's up. You're probably going to see it as one of the recommended videos after the credits. If you have not seen the reaction yet, what the fuck are you doing here? But maybe you're just not interested in reactions, that's fine too. After the reaction, there's a there's somewhat of a discussion, so go check that out if you want to. And other than that, go check out my other series, Monogatari, Monster, Technolize, Disco Elysium. We're playing Disco Elysium as well. Check out the Discord, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.